My name is Madhuja. Let me begin by saying that I'm grateful to the coroner's office today for giving me this opportunity so that I can bring my grievances before you. However, I'm still disappointed that the system does not let me be present, even as a non speaking observer, so I can at least witness what is being transpired. I knew Durba from my preteen days. We went to the same school, and she's only a year junior to me. After a long time, I met her again when she moved to Canada, ironically, to make a better life for her son. We used to get together every weekend when we both got involved in a community stage play. And Orko used to accompany his mother. That's when I first met him and instantly got dazzled by this pint sized wonder. He was such a bright boy. He was intelligent, compassionate, responsible, he was well versed, and he was mature beyond his years. When I talked to him, we conversed like grown ups. He had a quirky sense of humor that I loved. Durba and Orko looked to me more like two best friends than mother and son. They had a very special relationship. They meant the world to each other. I came to Canada to pursue my grad school, and then, after spending almost 6 years, I chose to call this country home. Because of the humanitarian nature of the country and its governance, I felt like in this country, everyone's life is equally valued, and I felt proud to call myself a Canadian. But since Orko died, the events leading up to his death and the events afterwards had me seriously questioning my decision and doubting my faith in this country and its systems. In my statement today, I'm going to talk about some issues that have me severely disturbed as a citizen and have me doubting the two fundamental government institutions of Canada: the school and its responsibility towards its children, and the police and its responsibility towards the citizens. In the police report, there are a number of discrepancies that, in my opinion, shows a lack of investigation and clearly a lack of intent to actually investigate the matter. It is basically appears to me that they did not even care. Firstly, the police mentioned that they have no prior report of Orko being bullied or being assaulted, when in reality, Durba lodged a police complaint a few months earlier when Orko was beaten up by his bully and he had to be taken to the hospital. Second, in the police investigation, there is no plausible explanations given as to how Orko got into the building that he did not have access to. How did he get to the terrace that needed a separate access that Orko did not have or could not have? Did they even investigate these points? If so, where are the proofs? Where are the explanations? Does it not seem to them important enough? So now any neighborhood kid with a tendency to self-harm can actually go to that building and commit. Because apparently it's really easy to get into the building even without access cards. And then how is an investigation of a minor's death gets concluded just by talking to the school and believing every bit of her credible information, but without ever consulting or taking any statement from the two people who were closest to the victim, his own mother and his best friend's mother? And even when Orko's best friend's mom voluntarily went to the police, they refused to talk to her. Without talking to both sides, how did they decide who to believe? What makes them believe the school more than the mother? The mother was the only family the boy had in that country. And then the next question comes, why would Orko choose this particular building? Given that he lived in a high-rise himself, he could have committed when he came back from school when mom was not around. Why wait so many hours and then why go to a different building where he might not even have access to, technically? And then police keep mentioning this stolen console, when in fact the knowledge that the console was missing was apparent only after the console was returned by Orko. In the whole report, not once did the police mention that it was in fact Orko who returned the console out of his goodness of his heart. Then the report kept mentioning that the Orko played paid games in the console, when the school report clearly says that all he played was a free Fortnite game. These are all discrepancies that I found. So I would demand that the police should immediately correct their report and put the actual facts and not all these one-sided credible source information that they currently have. They should redo a proper investigation. My next grievances are with the TDSB system and their responsibility or lack thereof. Firstly, is it still stealing when a kid returns something? By branding Orko as a thief and by disciplining him the way they did, the message TTSB is sending to other kids is, even if you find something, please don't ever return it. It is better to throw it out because, God forbid, if you return it, you now will be branded as a thief. Secondly, is it a TDSB mandate that a child can be disciplined by the school before the parent gets information? Or is it a TDSB mandate that the child can be reprimanded when the parents are not present? Or is it a TDSB mandate that it is okay to question a child for long hours to get confession out of him? Firstly, of a crime that he did not commit. And secondly, doing that in absence of a parent, the only parent. And on top of that, then you call the parent and brag to the parent that, yes, I tried to get a confession out of your boy by intimidating him. Now, if this is not the mandate of the board, then where is the ownership of the board? Why is this perpetrator still in charge of other kids? Why has there been no action taken against her? Why has it not been made public that she has faced any consequences at all? Now, what if my kid goes to a school where she's still in charge of questioning and intimidating other kids in the guise of disciplining them? Now, as a parent, as a taxpayer, do I not have the right to know what type of people are in charge of shaping my kid, protecting my kid, raising my kid as a good human, as a good citizen? As a country, do we not want our kids to grow up to be honest human beings? So why is it that everywhere, I mean everywhere, it is mentioned that the console has been stolen? But nowhere in any report, it is mentioned that it is Orko who returned the console. To reiterate, the console went missing. The fact that it went missing was realized only after Orko voluntarily returned it to the guy. So instead of glorifying this deed, instead of encouraging the kid, it is okay for the school to bully him, to intimidate him, to vilify that kid. So basically, we are living in a system where Orko's honesty was rewarded by the intimidation and shaming and disciplining by the school that led him to lose his life. And the police, instead of investigating and uncovering these things, they're completely fine going with this twisted version of the truth provided to them by the same school and the same people that led to this tragedy. So my demand would be the following. 1, the school should do a public inquiry to show that they did not support what happened. It is an individual problem and it is not the school board problem. Secondly, there should be some actions taken so that in the future, no more Orcos suffer this fate. And number 3, the police should immediately correct all their factual errors in the reports. And number 4, they should do a proper investigation and not the one-sided, we already made the decision before the investigation type of job that they have done. Thank you.